All right, so without further ado, let us get started. So today we're going to be talking about pleasuring yourself in so many different ways. Um, Today we're going to be specifically talking about one major way of pleasuring yourself. Um, and so let's go ahead and get started. So today we're going to be talking about what is pleasure, the reward system. We're going to have an activity, and then we're going to be talking about pleasure outside of the binary. And then we're going to watch a short video. And the last section is staying in balance with pleasure. So, what is pleasure? What are some sexual and non sexual ways you pleasure yourself? And what does pleasure mean to you? So, anybody can answer in any one of these questions in whatever way you want to. Feel free to raise your hand or just unmic whenever you want.
Um, so for me, um, favorite way, okay, I'm doing a little mix. Okay, so my favorite way to pleasure myself sexually, is actually oiling my body. It has nothing to do with it. It's the pre-ritual before I make love to myself. That's what it's about for me. It's to turn down the lights, light a candle because I'm about to go crazy. And then I can tell myself I love you. That's coming. I can say I love you tonight during sex and know that the other person means. And then I guess non-pleasurable way, I mean non-sexual way is music. Always music. Um, I use music to escape. If I'm feeling pain, literally physical pain, I'll turn music on and we're gonna power through. So music. And then for me, pleasure is just about almost honoring yourself. And it's a way of showing gratitude to yourself in a way by allowing you to feel those sensations. And you can overindulge in that or you cannot.
Period. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Anybody?
Yeah, I would have to second some of those that Brent said. Like for me, I like body butter. So like right after the shower, I'll put body butter on. That's what I love. And then also music for me as well. And something that I do rarely, but now I'm trying to do more is book massages. I like those. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I love that. I love the massages.
Yes, those are pretty cool. I don't know. I think when it comes to sexual pleasure, I like, I don't know, I like to let go in the sex act in and of itself. Um, and so just really being open to my partner that I am engaging with, like the sounds that he's making. What are the things that are going to elicit like moans or him like cursing and talking about how good I am doing whatever it is that I am doing to him. And being open to him like also doing things to me where I'm like, shit, I was not ready for that. But like it's that constant energy exchange where we're really just enjoying the sex to give each other like an experience and not just a nut. In terms of like non-sexual things, like reading, um, music, of course. I start off pretty much every morning with like some of my favorite songs, um, and just watching and coming across like gay content and just knowing that even if it's not very mainstream, the fact that it's out there and it exists, that is someone that is reflecting some aspect of my journey and um, that we've like always been here, and we've never needed anyone to like validate that for us.
Thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think for me, what I think about, I'm thinking of different my senses, right? My sensory, and so I'm definitely a visual person. So aesthetically, like something like very appealing and aesthetically pleasing is it's pleasurable, right? Like so I could look at the sea or like a nice scenery or whatever, and it's just like I feel pleased, right? And then also, I think when it comes to like sexual pleasure, I think one thing I feel like I enjoy the most when it comes to like sexual pleasure is just like even almost the build up. Like now I know a term for what it is, but the term is called Tantra, and it's just like that the energy that you create with your partner, right? And you just kind of like you're just steady, like you're experiencing it. You're not even like thinking outside the moment. Like you breathe them in. It's like you literally like become one. And so I think that energy, all of that, like I think that's pleasure to me, like that energy exchange.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So for me, pleasure to me, I guess, looks like anything that sort of like makes me happy, makes me smile. You know what I mean? I think for me, the way I pleasure myself is absolutely through music, and I would say through putting myself out there, like expressing myself. That definitely brings me some sense of pleasure, like being able to like I don't know, push out some energy, push out some feelings or emotions. Um, Sexually, I'm kind of like Brent. Like I enjoy more of like the like I'm more turned on from the idea or the thinking about it. Like I'm very, in my brain about sex. So like I'll be turned on from just like thinking of a certain scenario or whatever, and then I'll be able to like sort of get, does that make sense? Like, like it's preparing myself mentally, yeah, and like even when I'm thinking about it, I'm like thinking about all the things like I'm gonna do and all that. And so yeah, that's what brings me sexual pleasure is yeah, the buildup and the anticipation. That's what it is. And also like sometimes it can be the scenario, you know what I mean? If it's a certain like risque scenario, or if it's like maybe you'll get caught, or maybe like um but you won't, yeah, I don't know, but you always plan it so that you never get caught, you know what I mean? But you just might, yeah, it's something about it. I don't know how to explain it, but
I get it.
so does
Like,
anybody
get out
else
my head.
does anybody else have anything about this before we move on? No, we're good. Alrighty. Okay, so pleasure refers to an experience that feels good, that involves the enjoyment of something. Anything that brings attention to your senses becomes an opportunity to explore pleasure. It doesn't even need to be sexual. And we know that. So why do we what is our like motivation, right? What's the motivation for pleasure? Where does all this stuff comes from? So this comes from the reward system in our brain. Comes from dopamine, the different chemicals that are released when we feel, when we get something that we want. So to understand why we're tasty food, loving touch, sexual desire, alcohol, heroin, pornography, chocolate, gambling, social media, online shopping, or anything that you might find pleasurable, we need to know about the reward system. The reward system is one of the most important systems in the brain. It drives our behavior towards pleasurable stimuli such as food, sex, alcohol, etc. And it drives us away from painful ones that require more energy or effort, such as conflict, homework, talking to your best friend, talking to your partner, doing those exercising, all those things that kind of doesn't feel good, but this reward system, it it makes it feel as though that stuff is bad, and in actuality it's good for us. But it makes it feel like that's some sort of like pain that we're causing ourselves. So how can you give yourself pleasure? We already know one of the biggest ones, playing your favorite music. Obviously that is a huge thing. um, Meditation and yoga. Obviously, meditation doesn't have to look like what you see on social media. Just taking the time to close your eyes and breathe can bring in, feelings of pleasure. I personally have done Vipassana courses, which they basically just teach you how to just sit and breathe. And it was one of the most incredible things that I've done in my life that really helped me just relax, you know what I mean? And also find a sense of discipline and be able to um, understand my body on a biochemical level, and understand what like pleasure and anger and all these different emotions, how they actually feel on a biochemical level. Like for example, when you're angry, you ever notice how like your body will start to get hot, your chest will start to be faster, you know what I mean, your breathing gets harder. This is all stuff that's happening, but you're not sitting there, oh, I'm angry and I notice that my breathing has changed and my heart rate is up. Like that, this is not something that you typically would recognize or be aware of. And that's what I learned through meditation, is being aware of those simple, little things that's happening within my body, to say, hey, something's happening. Like I'm getting anxious, or I'm getting angry, or, and then now that I'm aware, I can stop it from, becoming to a point where I'm acting on it, right? Where I'm acting upset, or I'm acting angry, so just a little bit about that. And then the last one that we were going to be talking about today, our big topic for today, is masturbation. Masturbation serves a variety of purposes, making masturbation one of the most intense and pleasurable ways of self-pleasure. So, question for the room. Why do you masturbate? How did you learn to masturbate, or how did you learn to pleasure yourself? And does talking about masturbation make you uncomfortable? Why or why not? And anybody can take the floor when you're ready.
Um, I'm not gonna give y'all the full list of why I masturbate. It's too long. Okay. Masturbation for me is like a cigarette to a chain smoker. Okay. Today is hard. When I get off at 5, like I be at work, I'm like, it's just kind of weird. Like, but like I be at work, as soon as I get high stress, I'm like, you know what, Grant, calm down. Because you get off at 5:30. You're gonna make it to that bed at 7:30. And what you gonna do? We're gonna ease our mind. And so we got this. And I'm like, okay, it changed my whole mood to know that something's waiting on me. Um, and also I masturbate in conjure for ritual. So, we have this saying called "Don't waste no nut." Any orgasms are portals, so that's the time to manifest something. So think about something you want and you feel it pulling up. And yeah, so I intentionally masturbate. I've masturbated and not been sexually aroused because like I need some money and I need to do a ritual. So yeah.
Wow, I think that's a fascinating way to like think of masturbation as like an intentional practice, and not even relating it to like sex, but like things that you may want to manifest in your life. Um, I think for me, I think it's just a way of like getting in touch with myself, knowing the things that like make me feel good. Um, so that way, like if I'm with somebody else and they want to touch me in that particular kind of way, um, you know, and it's not feeling great or pleasurable, then I can guide them into making the experience like a lot more pleasurable for ourselves. Sometimes I do it because like I'm horny and I'm like, I don't have anybody around. So like I need to release. And, and kind of bring myself down. And in terms of like feeling uncomfortable about it, no, I don't feel uncomfortable talking about it. I love it when people like talk about like their techniques. I love watching men do it in front of me. There is something that's just really interesting watching how they grab themselves. Like, do they use oil? Are they like spit? You know, are they like just dry hand? Do they talk to themselves? You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like I'm also like learning something more about the person as well, like watching them give themselves like pleasure. And when it's a mutual thing, like just watching each other's like heightened response. Um to the act in and of itself. There's something very uh like powerful and just exciting, you know, like the anticipation, like who's going nut first? Are we going nut together? You know what I mean? What does that look like? Is he going to moan? Does he scream? Is he like quiet when he does his thing? Does his eyes roll in the back of his head? You know, like, it's just so much. And I really try to like sit in the experience of that, whether that be with myself or, you know, with somebody else.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. Who's next?
Um, so I similar to Brent, I would say the same thing. Like it is a good motivator when I'm thinking about, okay, after work, like this is what I'm gonna do. And it does make the day go by faster. Um, and it's definitely something to look forward to. So yeah, I would say it's a great stress reliever or relaxation after a long day. Private time where I don't have to talk to anyone. And it has been a lifesaver during my time being single. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Star, you want to jump in there?
Hello, beautiful people. Sorry for the delay, but
Yes,
it
hey Hoochie.
follows. It's another day on this earth. It's another day for us to get our shit together, and we gonna get our shit together. Anyway, back to the question at hand. I just had to get that out the way. But why do I do it personally? I'm gonna give y'all something different here. Sometimes y'all know we didn't have some bad sexual experiences with some people, and sometimes just having that fantasy up in your mind or whatever, sitting over there just doing it all your damn self. Sometimes that's all you need, because child, a lot of hookup stories I got, I wish I could take them back. I wish I did not have to add that body count to the list, but damn, it's there. So that's one reason. Another one, shoot, I feels good, and who better to do it than me? I was born with this motherfucker. We have spent 24 beautiful years together. Baby, it's gonna be me. Let me see. Why also do I do it? Sometimes I used to do it to go to sleep. Sometimes also too, when you wake up with that damn morning wood, that motherfucker don't want to go away. You got to take care of that. I'm sorry. Y'all already know. Let me see. How did I learn how to do it? Shit, testing the waters, bitch. That's how I learned. Shit, you got to figure out you some new shit to do. Anyway, just talking about it make me uncomfortable. It depends on who you talking about it with, because everybody can't handle them conversations, but I can't. Because me personally, I likes all the sexual matters. Amen.
Amen, amen, and amen.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Star. Thank you for sharing.
You welcome.
Yeah, I feel like I'm exactly like Star in that way. I feel like, why do I masturbate? I feel like as I got older, masturbation has become a tool to not kind of cope with life, right? You know, because it's high stresses, um, and you know that release, you know, it gives a temporary like high or whatever you get, right? And so for me, I've used it like to release stress if I had a stressful day, or I've you know kind of conditioned it in a way where it's like you know it's how I go to bed. It's like a bed ritual. I you know that's the best sleep, whatever you know. So that's been a thing, and so um do I mind talking about masturbation? Like it depends on the company. Like if the person is more open to talking about it, it's just a thing, you know. Like it's not like we all do it. Everyone who's alive does it. Whoever says they don't, lie. And I feel like when did I learn? I feel like funny because I feel like it's been like a thing throughout my life, right? I look at my little nephew, right, and he's like 2 years old, but like he loves his penis in the sense of he always has his hands, and he's like you gotta be like get. It's always in his pants, walking around, and I feel like I vaguely remember like being that type of child where it's like my hand was always in my pants, and it was always feeling good, and like you just learn to like pleasure yourself, and you do it as a young child, like it's just like it just becomes a natural thing to suit yourself, and so yeah. Thank you for my TED talk.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Over to you. So, for me, I think my experience with masturbation is a little bit differently than everyone else's. Um, so when I was growing up, my dad, military guy, I got caught masturbating one time, and I got in huge trouble. He took literally my bathroom door off the hinges, so I had no privacy in the bathroom. Um, and so like masturbation for me was something like you didn't talk about, you don't, you definitely don't do it, and you don't. And so I guess it became something that was like naughty, right? It's like a bad thing that, and so it had this sort of like connotation for me as like it's something that,
Wrong.
yeah, it's something, not necessarily something wrong with it. It's just, it's not a good thing. You know what I mean? Like it's just not a good thing. And so I kind of live with that, especially like being in relationships with people like you don't masturbate. You know what I mean? And I would even feeling guilty for myself for masturbating when I was in a relationship, because I felt like I was cheating on them or something like that. Um, and so now, as I've gotten older, my attitude towards masturbation has completely changed. But there is this feeling of like hiding it, like it needs to be done in private. It needs to be done like in this sort of like secret, place where no one can see, not even my partner. Like not even my partner can know, that that's something that is, and that's really crazy, right? It's not realistic. Um, and so yeah, it's something that I'm working through, is trying, not trying to masturbate in front of my partner, but just trying to like release those sorts of feelings of like I don't have to be afraid to say like, hey, I want to masturbate. And that's okay, it's totally okay to say that. So thank y'all for listening to my TED Talk.
Sure.
Well, little do y'all know, after this Zoom call, that's exactly what I'm about to do.
No, I'm not even gonna lie. That's how I got through today.
I'm glad. I hope this course today, I hope everyone finishes.
Have a happy ending. You know what I'm saying?
It did. No,
Does
okay, so one
anybody-
thing I do.
Today's homework, everybody. We are
Practice what you preach.
Get it in. I think you brought up like a really interesting
now.
point, Mike. Like the shame
hybrid.
that is around masturbation. I really feel like, especially like when I first started experimenting sexually, like I was more of a bottom, if you will. And so like I didn't really pay my penis like, that much attention. And I just really felt like it wasn't a thing that I personally should have been playing with, you know what I mean? And it took me a long time to realize, like, hey, that's a part of your body. So why would you not honor that part of yourself as well, despite whatever else it is that you like? Why would you not? Why would you not love that part of yourself as well? You know what I mean? And give it pleasure and things like that. And so yeah, I'm always curious to hear, especially those that do enjoy penetration more than they like penetrating, like what their relationship is to masturbation. And is that something that is it something that they enjoy, or is it something that they really like shy away from because they don't feel like I don't use my penis for anything else, so like I shouldn't touch that as well. You know what I mean? Just for myself, even if no one else is interested.
Yeah. See, for me, I did the reverse of what you did as far as discovering. Well, like, because one day I asked my friend, and I just was like, I'm thinking about it, and he was like, "You let somebody else do it?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "So why won't you do it? You let somebody else do it too." And I was like, "You know what? That's a good point. I'm gonna see what that's like." And then I also want to ask, real quick, and I'm done. But it has to be said, masturbation is a gift from God. Anybody who wants you to feel shame about masturbation just wants you to feel shame about your body, period. Because that's pleasure. Pleasure is a gift from God. Get us through the bullshit. So come on. But my journey was not always, you could talk about it. My mom, I had a kit when I was young. It would be in this metal tin, and I would slide it up. So everything I needed was inside, CDs, the everything. Because I was like, nope, no internet history, all of that. And my mom found it, and she went into. It was crazy because there was nothing in there like weird, but her response was, "Are you gay?" And I'm like, "What?" Because there's condoms and stuff in this back that doesn't add up. So I laughed. Actually, I laughed because I was surprised. That was the last thing I thought she was gonna say because I was like, I'm thinking she's gonna be like, "You nasty," and she said that, and I was like, "Okay." So you just okay. So I like laughed it off, but it was crazy because I told my dad. My mom's response, she stopped like that woman became a nun around the house because apparently now, oh, he can see sex. Oh, I'm not, no temptation. I'm like, girl, what? And then and my dad was just like, son, sometimes you're gonna have to be children. And hey, oh well, your mom, she'll get over it, and she did. So it kind of became a theme because like my family's pretty open. So, but it's just certain things is like but then we learned together. To be open. So it was like an experience for me. And I think that was good for my mom too to realize like he created a being that could one day be sexual, and so you need to open your mind up a little bit, you know. But yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. Does anybody else want to go before we move on?
I just want to say real quick, just to follow up with something that Gary was saying. Like when I'm be on the receiving end or whatever, me personally, it's just where I'm like, okay, if I'm not using it for nothing else or what, it's like, don't touch me there. It's like in that moment, all you need to be worried about is the gluteus the maximus. Okay, you don't need to be worried about nothing else. Why should you be worried about what's going on in the front when you should be more worried about what the hell's going on in the back? That's just my thing. I don't know if that's weird, but it's just me. Love, peace, and hair grease.
Thank you. Heard. Okay. So, what happens physically when you masturbate? Obviously, other than the actions of you masturbating. So, so what happens is it triggers a dopamine release in your body, which creates feelings of euphoria and happiness, making it a great stress reliever. Including the fact that if you reach orgasm while you're masturbating, the hormone oxytocin gets released, which reduces the stress hormone cortisol. However, some people have difficulty achieving orgasm, so it should be noted that it doesn't have to be a necessary part of having a pleasurable experience. Right? Cool with that? Y'all cool with that? All right. So what
And I'm
happens?
okay.
Oh, okay. So what happens mentally? The dopamine, the endorphins, and the oxytocin are all called happiness hormones that are associated with stress reduction, bonding, and relaxation. Sometimes masturbating can help you feel a little bit better when your mood is low. I don't know if that ever happened to y'all. Masturbation can also improve your body positivity. Learning to appreciate and understanding the beauty of your body is a very powerful thing, especially as many people struggle to love what they see reflected in the mirror. So I have a little question. Have you ever masturbated in the mirror or like watched yourself?
Yes.
Like what?
Yes.
Like watched yourself.
Yes.
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 Do it.
Yes. Yes.
Everyone go do it. That's the new homework. Get you a small one. Yes. Yes.
Full length, honey. Do it in front of the full length mirror.
Yes. And say I love you when you get
I'm
there.
just
I
kidding.
promise you. Say I love you. And then say, like for me, I say my name, I say Brent, I love you too. Say it back. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm done.
That's you got 3 peoples.
Mm-hmm. And we all 3 love each other.
We all freaks. I love it.
Oh, now.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right. So time for activity. Go ahead, whip it out.
Yes. Take it out.
Whip it out. Okay. So the activity we're gonna be
Oh,
playing.
y'all was
Get dropped from this call if you want to. Get dropped.
So we're gonna be playing a little game called Yes and. If you've never played this game before, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So basically, why we're playing this game is to remind you of your imagination. Your brain is the largest sexual organ, and there's a connection between what we're doing to our bodies and what's going on in our heads. Fortunately, we can be highly imaginative when it comes to desire, and we have lots of tools to help bridge the physical and psychological gaps of pleasure. So, basically, one person starts by making up a story. It can be any kind of story, past, present, future. After setting the stage, you'll give us about 3 or 4 sentences. The person will stop at the end of a sentence. You always want to make sure that you stop at the end of a sentence. Then the next person will pick it up and they'll start the sentence, or they'll start with yes and. Then this person will continue to tell their story as the person before them. So, for example, if I'm speaking in first person, you'll continue the story in first person. So if I'm saying, I'm walking down the street and I'm eating an apple, and then you're going to have to say, yes, and I'm now,
Yeah.
I don't know, but you're talking, yeah. And so then the third person will continue, and we'll just keep going like that. So some tips to remind us. You can use gallery mode if you don't know how to use it. I think it's up in the top left, and to put it on gallery mode so that you can see everybody's face. We're gonna make an order list. I guess since it's just 6 of us, we'll start. You don't see it? Are you on your phone?
If you're on your phone, just swipe over.
Yeah.
Swipe over.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just like.
So we'll do an order. Let's see. Who wants to go first? Who wants to be first? Okay. So Brianna. I wanted to say Brianna. I wanted to say Brianna so bad. Brianna. Brianna, then Brent, then Gary, then Star, then Adrian, then myself.
Okay.
Okay. And last, so we'll probably play about 10, 20 minutes, whatever. We got time.
Last. That ain't fair.
Oopsie.
Come on, Star. You bringing it home, darling.
Okay, so.
Okay, so all right. The lights are dim. His lips are juicy and thick. The sheets are fresh out of the dryer, and his thighs are thick.
One alliteration. Come on,
You talk about me.
Yes.
I'm
I
just
like to
saying.
say,
Lord
you
Jesus.
talk about me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I had to step outside. Yes, and I had a long day and I need to relax. And this is my only way out, is to go in. That's all I got.
I started slowly. I looked into the mirror. I admired everything that I saw, this beautiful chocolate, brown, round, sexy, thick body, just ready to tell me all of its secrets. And I was ready to hear and experience everything.
That was it. Whew. I'll tell you, look, the experience that I want to experience was something I want to experience for quite some time. Child, I had me a nice, good old puff off the Mary J. Wanna. And baby, I turned on that good old Marvin Gaye and all my R&B tracks that my mama used to when I was a little child, baby. And I politely rushed my ass to the living room, lit some incense, and laid inside. Laid on the couch. I'm sorry.
Y'all are so silly.
Playing all my love-making tracks.
Yes, and as I make my way back to the loft that we escaped to on a remote island, the bed sheets that just came out of the dryer, hot and crisp, exude heat upon the body of the thighs of the man that I desire. Sweat drips. I faintly wipe my forehead. I look over my shoulder. I breathe. I think again. I think one more time. Yes, this is it.
Yes. And then I had a change of heart. In just an instance, everything changed. I received a phone call from the doctor. It was true. I was now a patient in the COVID army.
What? Come on now.
You a hater.
Come
You a hater.
on, come on. So we can do this.
What is the
We're gonna
COVID?
do this. We're gonna do this. Come on now. Come on now.
We can
I'm
fix
so
it.
bad. Y'all, I
We're
am
gonna make
sweating.
this work.
I am sweating. Like, that was hard for me. That was difficult.
Oh, we was getting
Come on.
at the move.
But we're gonna make this work though.
Okay.
We're gonna make it work.
Matter of fact, I got
Brianna, back
I
to
would
you.
serve lemon.
Okay, or we're continuing the story.
Oh no, you can start a new story or
New.
Okay. Okay. Okay, it was a crisp fall evening, and we just got back from the bonfire. He had chocolate and marshmallows still on his lips from the s'mores. And we bumped into each other while getting drinks in the kitchen.
Oh, I got you. Yes, and as we collided, I could smell the smoke from the fire in his beard, and it felt like home. And so I decided to give him a little piece of home as my hand went down the navel into the zipper. And that was just a sneak peek. And I left the kitchen.
Yes, and there was something about that print that had me mesmerized.
How we get over here?
Watching him try to compose himself, wondering, was this the moment that I was going to fall to my knees? Maybe. I sashayed away and turned around and gave him the look. Like, what's happening? What's up?
yes, and
No, it's
I'm
Star.
sorry.
Star.
Yes, and as he looked into my eyes, I looked at his. I could sit over there and see his heart. Oh no! Trying to get
I can see that.
Okay, hold on.
Come on, Craig. Get up, Craig. Come on, Craig.
Okay.
I'm crying.
Okay. And yes, as he looked into my eyes, I could see his lustful temptations rising. I began to have immediate, all sorts of sexual thoughts about this lovely man. And I kindly invited him inside of the room. And I bent my ass over the bed. And
I keep thinking the story's gonna end, but nope. Nope. There's more.
Bend over.
And yeah, is it my
Yeah.
And yes, as I bent over the bed, I suddenly feel jelly-filled cream donut drizzle upon my love. I turn my head to the left, and then I look more, and I'm like, "Damn, nigga, like, what you doing there?" And so I kindly hand him a moist up. Yes, and it's time to get serious about this story.
It's my turn. So yes, and then
you keep turning to your left. Who is your tweet?
And then yes, and then and then he takes the moist towelette and he brings it to the trash. And then while he's at the trash can, he notices something inside. And it's bloody. He reaches his hand inside and he's noticed that one of his toes is gone. He's reaching around in the trash can and he's like, I know that's my toe. I know that's my toe.
How does he do that?
And that's it.
I'm sick of your ass.
Go, Mike.
Looking over a trash can. I know that's my toe.
That's my toe.
That's my toe. That's my toe.
Hold on. No, he was like,
Wait for the toe at Mike.
Hey, how many toes you got over there? I'm trying to make sure.
Wait.
Whose toe is this in here?
Oh my God. I am
Okay,
in tears.
1, 2,
I am in
8.
tears.
Hold on.
Hold on,
Bitch. I'm missing a pinky toe.
Wait a minute.
Yep, that look like mine. It got that. Yep. It got that birthmark on it right there.
Right. How many days has the toe been in the trash? Like you didn't.
Right. I don't know where he's going. No, I see why Adrian looked back. Look to the left.
Right.
I look over to my left and look.
Adrian said he wants to start the next one, so.
Yeah.
Hold on, but imagine that though. You in the middle of getting ready to have sex and you look over and you realize your toe was gone. I would stop the whole session like, wait a minute, bitch, that's my damn toe. Hand me that.
I know that's my toe.
That was not consensual. That was not consensual.
That's merch right there.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, y'all are so silly.
Like, hold on, nigga. You taking this foot fetish shit to the extreme now.
Nobody told you to bite me. Look.
Give me my damn toe back.
Okay, so Adrian, then Brianna, then Brent, Gary, Star, then me.
All right, I'm gonna set the scene for you. All right, so it's a family. They're going on a family vacation. They're taking a flight. We don't know where. We don't know where yet, but they're going somewhere. There's four individuals. It's gonna be. Let's go with Carol. We're gonna go with Kevin, uh, Sarah, and Jacob. We got these four individuals.
I'm
Mom and
already
dad.
lost.
Mom and dad. And you got the two kids, right? They're at the airport. They just got to the airport. They're running to make it to the gate. Already late because Sarah dropped the juice box all in the car, got everything, the luggage wet, so they had to dry that up. And she also threw up. She's like 3 years old. Sarah's a mess. So they're running, they got the luggage, they're running down the thing. They finally make it to gate 18. I say 18. It's gonna come up later. Yes. Unless y'all let it. They get to gate 18. The flight to the left, I'm on the plane. There's one issue. Sarah ain't got no seat. So it's four people. The little baby ain't got no seat. Now what? Y'all go ahead. What happens there?
Okay. So Carol puts Sarah in her lap for the flight. And you said that's not allowed?
No, you can't put a baby in this. No, you can do what you want. I message.
Tell her to
Okay.
tell the story.
Okay, we'll just say it's not allowed then. Okay, so they get there and it's only 3 seats and Sarah can't come. So they call the grandmother who lives in town to come to the airport, and they want her to take Sarah with her during the while they go on the trip. But the grandmother gets stuck in traffic and the flight is about to leave in 5 minutes.
Let me say something. Y'all are some good liars. Y'all are good liars. Y'all.
I'm telling you a story.
I swear to God, that sounded like some real shit. That sounded like some real shit.
I'm just saying. Listen, we have to hide ourselves so much. You get what I'm saying?
I have a Gemini moon, so
Hey, period.
It's the twins,
I'm a
honey.
Scorpio
She said
moon,
one
so
of them
the
coming
fantasy is
out, they
whatever.
telling the story.
Let's go. Yes, and the grandmother smirked as she was not actually in traffic. This was all a part of her and her son's plan. We are gonna leave this baby at the airport in her mind, but actually, this child is going for a DNA test. He don't look like my son, she thought. So him, and Kevin may board that plane, but his illegitimate child shall not be there. And yes, I booked the tickets.
Man, grandma thinks she is so fucking slick, thinking that don't nobody know that her ass ain't gonna come and get me. My parents think that they slick, thinking that they only booked 3 fucking seats and leaving me out to dry. I know I'm only 3 and I can't say a whole lot, but I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna let these motherfuckers have it. That's why I threw up on all day shit. That's why I spilled the fucking juice box, because these motherfuckers will be always playing in my goddamn face. Fuck them. And the horse that they rode in on. You don't want me on the goddamn trip? Fine. None of us are going on the goddamn trip. The end.
I'm crying. Oh my God, I have literal tears in my eyes.
Can't.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Whose turn is it?
A star.
You start.
Oh my god. I'm crying.
Yes, and I am the narrator of this story. I don't know which character I am,
I know who you are.
but I'm the damn narrator, and I'm hired in a Mariah Carey note right now.
Maya Angelou.
You sound like my Angelou.
Be Maya Angelou. That's like Maya Angelou's the narrator.
I am the hope of the slave.
We not gonna play with mother. Look, make you rest in power.
Yes, what is it, Angel? Like the blood pressure on a black woman. Eating pork all her.
I can't breathe.
I am the hope of the slave, and I don't work for free. Somebody better find me. Or if I'm the woman will get beat phenomenally. Praise God.
Oh my god.
Praise him.
Was that the grandma like thinking in her head in the car?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes. That was the okay. And then
Adrian.
and then it's my turn. Yeah. And then it's my turn. Yes. And then everybody dies. The end. Okay, moving on.
Because really what happened was
No.
Sarah was gonna go back on that plane.
Yeah, the baby. The baby is actually, which y'all didn't know,
The
the
orphan.
baby is actually, you know, Lucy from the movie? It's baby Lucy.
She gonna kill them.
And she just fucked everything up. She was just like, I'm, you know, goo goo gaga.
That's
She
that
just,
goo goo.
she just fucked everything
I
up.
told you. She know what she doing.
Give me that
She
goo goo
free.
gaga
She done
gaga.
been here before.
She
That'll serve
Lucy'd
them.
everything. She Lucy'd
Oh.
everything.
Oh,
Listen,
not Lucy.
she been here before. I done been here
Okay, so when
before.
we do a heist together, so we gonna have Brianna and Adrian. They gonna be the ones that pretend like they legitimate, so we can break in. Y'all gonna be the con artists. Okay, me and Gary and Star gonna handle wardrobe. Y'all gonna look like nobody ever seen. And Mike, you gonna be the computer guy because you cannot lie. So you cannot
Exactly.
talk.
Exactly.
You gonna be on the monitor. You gonna be in our ears.
I'm the worst. Guys, you have a bogey on line 1. You have bogey on line 1. All right, y'all. Come on, move on. So let's talk about going beyond the binary for trans and gender nonconforming folk who want to masturbate but experience difficulties for those reasons. What kinds of things would you recommend? What strategies would you recommend? And I know this is a really tough topic, but
I would actually recommend. Oh, go ahead, Gary.
I don't know. You know, I guess because I'm not trans, I'm not non-binary. I guess the advice that I will offer is to deal with or confront whatever shame you may have about your body. I think first and foremost, especially because you're now experiencing yourself in a new kind of way. And so what does that look like for you? You know what I mean? What are some things that if you were biologically born as a girl, but now you're experiencing your life as a man, you know, what are some things that you've heard about men that shamed you in your now male body? If you are biologically male and you're now, you know, discovering yourself as a female, you know, what are the issues, what are the things that you feel like you need to confront in your womanness, to like balance her so that way you can love her wholly, you know what I mean? And a lot of that may have to do with the fact, you know, are there part, and this is none of our business, right? Um, you know, are there things that you're adding to yourself? Are there things that you are deciding to like really live in your reality, that you feel like you need to get rid of? And being comfortable with those things, learning how to like really love yourself through all of that, because like you are experiencing like life on a whole different level, that there really is no rule book for. And we're all trying to discover, the ways in which we can do that. God, I don't know. God, this is so difficult.
Yeah,
This
it's a
is
tough
that
question.
such a difficult question. Yeah.
And I think, personally, for me, it's really tough for me to answer it, similar to you, Gary, because I'm not trans or gender nonconforming or non-binary. So it is. I mean, it's honestly, it's not even something we can talk about, and that's why I bring it to the table, just in case anybody else has anything that they would want to, address.
Yeah. I think for me, honestly, I say this is your time to be an ally and not time to live. It's not your time to try to live in that experience for them. And so we always should stay in that mindset. As we're kind of there. We have that kind of going on. But the only advice that I would give, and I say, and you want to be as open to it as possible because you want to give it to them to carry because it's theirs, And but I would say practice being vulnerable and not just sexually, whether that be in writing or writing through sexual fantasies or what arouses you. Because if you do find sexual arousal anywhere, whether it's outside of you or inside of you, document that and kind of be aware of how you feel with that vulnerability of reflecting back and seeing just how nasty and how far you can go sexually in your mind. And then yeah, and outside of sex, just practicing being vulnerable with yourself, whether that be addressing emotions that you don't normally address or crying to yourself, and not just crying the shameful hide my face cry, like the cry where you look up and that mirror's in front of you and you like, hey, this is what we need to either undress or move on, get into. And I would also offer up maybe bringing up the topic of vulnerability as something you discuss if you are seeing a therapist of some sort to help you work through where you are. But I say working on being able to be vulnerable is the easiest way that I would say get at it, because then when you start that muscle and the more you strengthen it, the better you can apply to other areas. And then maybe one day I pray that it gets strong enough to where, you want to practice being vulnerable physically with yourself and then with another person and then so on and so forth. And yeah. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Um, I guess some tips that I would add as well is using different props or materials that bring gender euphoria. So, for example, if someone is a trans woman, like maybe buying some really sexy lingerie and wearing that and using the mirror during masturbation, or if someone is a trans man, buying some really nice boxers or a nice strap and using that imagery during the masturbation, and maybe that can bring more euphoria and love and pleasure to the masturbation experience, if they feel confident and aligned in their gender during the experience.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much. Anybody else want to hit it? Give it a go? No? All right. So I got some information, and it's very similar to what Brianna mentioned. It says for people who identify outside the gender binary, sex and masturbation can be a scary thing. It sometimes involves and sometimes involves our interacting with aspects of our anatomy with which we might not entirely be comfortable. So it says masturbation. That thing will not go away. I got this little bar in front of my. Move it. Move that. Okay. Masturbation doesn't need to just involve genitals. Explore for the sake of trying something out with as few expectations as possible. Don't make orgasm a goal, just observe. So there's no right and wrong way to masturbate, obviously. I mean, all of us have, I'm sure masturbated in several different thousands of ways. There's no wrong way to make yourself feel good. Society expects you to masturbate a particular type of way based on how you've been socialized and or what your gender or genital configuration is like. Don't let the mainstream images of gender and masturbation cloud your masturbation exploration. I came up with this phrase, masturbation exploration. Okay, anyways, people of all genders and orientation can enjoy all kinds of sexual sensations. So where to begin? Start slow. Start by simply thinking about what sensations might feel good. Let your imagination run wild and don't be afraid or ashamed of what you come up with. Wear affirming clothing, like what Brianna said. Wear clothing or lingerie that fits your gender expression. Don't be swayed by what you may see in the media. You can mix and match many different garments to suit your needs. Of course, try using sex toys. Physical aids like sex toys can help solidify your imagination and add to your overall experience. Always make sure you clean them before and after. So what about the parts? Our genitals are all made up of the same types of tissue, and the types of stimulation a penis enjoys can be enjoyed by a vulva and vice versa. This is, I'm going to stop a little bit. This is really interesting because Adrian and I were just watching a documentary about, it's called The Principles of Pleasure. And if you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. And so it's basically told from the female perspective or femme perspective. But it really breaks down, pleasure. It breaks down, the vulva. It breaks down all of it. You know what I mean? And there even talks about how the penis and the vagina, the clitoris, they're actually made of the same exact tissue.
They're the same thing.
They're exactly the same thing. And so when someone with a vulva or vagina, when they get hard or when they are aroused, they get hard, just as it swells up with blood, and they actually have their clitoris. It's like a penis. You know what I mean? It's like, and they're the same tissues, and so they even show like a diagram, and it showed how similar they actually are.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. Yeah. It's incredible. So the same sensation that you can give to a vulva, rubbing, all those same types of sensation you can do to a penis, and vice versa. It's same, like you can tug a penis, you can tug a vulva or a clitoris, same thing. So there's no right and wrong way to do it. Whatever feels right to you. So moving on. Next one is exploring your gender. In terms of exploring your gender, masturbating can be the first step to understanding what makes your body feel good, free from the pressure of being with other people. The benefit of existing as a queer person in a heteronormative world is that it allows for a level of creativity unique to a marginalized community. So, embrace your creativity. You're free to play and make the most out of this creativity, being open to pleasure in whatever form it takes. So try to focus on enjoying the moment. Experiment with different types of touch: soft, firm, smacking, squeezing, rubbing. Find out what feels good and just go with that. And of course, you always want to make sure you're relaxed. We can reduce our insecurities, our self-doubts, and our negative associations with sex if we can separate the pressure from sexuality. I don't know about y'all, but there's typically is a lot of pressure around sexuality. There typically tends to, and it's not even the sex. A lot of times in queer culture, it's the orgasm. We put so much pressure on the orgasm. Like, if he nuts, or you know what I mean, like making them come, like that's like the pinnacle, right? And so this, if we can sort of like relax on that part and just allowing ourselves to have fun and enjoy our bodies and enjoy this person's body without this having to feel like, oh, I need to come, or I need to like, you know, have this ending, right? And it can sort of release some of that pressure from it. So here's some other, you know, physical aids, strap-ons, packers, pumps, props, lingerie, got books and movies, and of course porn, but porn doesn't always, you know, reflect real life, um, if ever. Okay, so we're gonna watch this video. Y'all ready?
I love that. That's what it looked like when I said I love you, and everybody said I love you back. That's what it looked like. I'm telling you.
Mhm.
But I think that was beautiful. Honestly, I really liked how wholesome it was and honest, but also it was wholesome even though it was vulgar. Because I think that we live in a society where we feel like those things can't coexist in a way that's healthy, but it was depicted that. And I also just love seeing melanated femmes just like command themselves and to explore. And I can understand those different parts of yourself that clash because we're not the same person every day or in the same mood, and we're so different. And so I definitely have that part of me that's like, dude, can we just watch the soap operas and lay down, and then we can fantasize about sex and go to sleep or something? And then my other side is like, no, we getting this. This is ours, and we're gonna take it. You know what I'm saying? But I also want to highlight the fact that when they said something along the lines of like not masturbating if that's something they can live with, and I was, and for me, or not orgasm, I guess. I've had in, which might sound crazy to some, but in my last relationship, every time we have sex after school, I didn't orgasm after time because that's not what my end goal was. It was more so pleasure from another person. So, and I was genuinely satisfied. So they're not always important if you enjoy the journey. So yeah, I love
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
I was gonna say that I definitely wish I had that video when I was a teen, and when I was confused about all of this. That would have been a very great video to have. Um it was so sex positive and body positive, and just really everything I feel like young teens and young Black queer people really need. And a
Mhm.
lot of us did not got the complete opposite.
Mhm. Yeah,
Thank you so
I
much for
really like. Sorry.
Go ahead, go ahead.
No, so I really like the idea of the dueling personalities. And each one was like honored in what this experience like meant for them. You know what I mean? And then the aligning of these personalities together, like them encouraging one another, you know what I mean? And I think um yeah, so just that, and like dealing with like that reality, like the conflicting things that like happens like in terms of like masturbation. We need this. Oh my gosh, this is disgusting. And then like the moment where it felt like it was disappointing, and then like them coaching, the personalities like coaching her through it, and like, hey, wait a minute, it's not bad that we didn't get here. You get what I'm saying? Um, so the ways that you're able to kind of like talk yourself through um through the experience in and of itself, and then like the climax and the aftermath, and they're like, oh my gosh, is that like pee? You know what I mean? So an experience that she had never really had before, apparently, or maybe had like even heard about. But like even like the curiosity about about like the smell of it afterwards, you know what I mean? Like the messing up of the sheets and like all of those things. And just I just like the idea that, you know, like they were just leaning into the experience and like really trying to like just not make it seem like this nasty thing, but you know, like this is something that we do. And I love the fact that they really explore like all of those things like about the body, you know, and especially since it was like the female body, you know, like there's like this curiosity about it, but like there's also like these things where it's coded as like bad and it's horrible. Women are not supposed to like know themselves. And so yeah, I really dug this film and I love how beautiful and vibrant and colorful. At first I thought it was like four different people. And then when I realized like, oh shit, it's the same goddamn person, you know, oh, this is like really interesting and beautiful. So Black women fucking rock. Black people, period. We fucking rock. Period. I just
Yeah.
wanted to know. All of us do.
That part.
But there's something about us.
I
That
love I love
love.
the how different the personalities were too. Like having the one like who was very like ethereal, like mother vibes, you know, like queen. And then you got like the bad bitch, you know what I mean, who's got, you know what I mean? It's just like, all right, girl, da, 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 da. And then you got the one who's like very timid and very like shy. And we all have those people inside of us, you know. We've got the one who's like, you know, you shouldn't be doing that. You know, that's not the right thing to do. And we've got also got the one that's like, bitch, let's get it done. And then you got the one that's like, you know, much more. I don't know. Maybe I don't have them, but I do. I definitely do. But yeah.
I'll tell you the names of all of mine.
Yeah, don't speak for me. Don't speak for me.
I don't know about nobody else, but I just came.
Where'd you go?
What film did you guys watch anyway? What film? Was it?
I'm gonna have to. Hey, Katara. I'm gonna have to
Get the replay.
copy it.
Copy the link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna post a link on in the Discord server. Sorry, everyone. I'm eating candy.
So we just gonna let Star say that, and we're not gonna address it.
What happened?
You know, well,
Star.
You
Anybody
let
worry about
Star
Star?
Lee.
Talking about
Just gonna let Star Lee announce
I believe it. That's the
that
the
they
crazy
nothing in front
part.
of us.
The crazy part is I believed it and was not bothered.
My only issue is you supposed to let me know you're doing something like that, because you
See,
don't
that is
just
how
do
I
it like
know
you
that
don't
I am
play like
loved. I am thankful for being loved like that. I like people who just get to know me as that, just be like, you know what, that's him. He ain't hurt nobody.
Masturbating in public.
Do
Leave
it.
him alone. He ain't hurt nobody.
Yeah,
Release the
nobody.
crackhead quality.
Stop.
Release your
No,
anger. Release your mind. Release your soul. Big Rita,
release the
all of
job.
it.
Release the stress.
Release
Let
your
it go.
mind. Release your soul. Go, go.
I'm crying.
I released
Hold
her
on,
right
man.
there.
Katara, I just posted it in the More You Know channel. That was just a short film. So yeah, let's go on. Let's move on, y'all.
Oh, the more you know. Got it. Thanks.
Yes. So, since so much of what we find pleasurable is shaped by culture, in what ways can we counter stigmas against queer and trans bodies, bodies of color, differently able bodies, differently sized bodies? I could go on.
I would say by uplifting one another and on our journeys towards body positivity, and allowing it to be open and not watch your mouth in a sense of censoring yourself, but in a sense of respect for those around you, and that's not even just for them, it's for you to change the way that we may think of things that are outside of our reality and incorporate everyone's. Like, for example, like I was watching this YouTuber the other day and I noticed that, and she plays The Sims because like I'm a Sims fanatic, that's a whole other thing. But like she was going through the families in this town and I noticed that she no longer refers to them with he or she pronouns. She says they and then she says partner, and she's really strict on it. And I've noticed in her past few videos. And it was like she never said it like I'm supporting you, but I felt it. And I felt seen without having to be a moment. You know, sometimes I just want to have a seat with a name tag like everybody else, and not the teacher being like, Brent, here's your name tag when you get in, seat 3, and everybody's looking at me. Because I think that that's a part of our issue, is because we live in a world where everyone wants to be recognized, which is rightly so. We do want to be seen and heard. And sadly, we have mainstream societies where it's trying to do the opposite of that. So everyone is pushing to be seen and heard. So whenever you have subgroups or minorities that are highlighted for once, everyone's calling like crabs in the barrel, like, well, why do they get recognition, or why are we promoting this? And it's not promotion, it's just to be seen. And but I also want to, with that, uplift. It doesn't always have to be a banner to be seen. And the little moments sometimes matter the most. Just to be like, I'll never forget, like I was so happy, and this was like months ago, and I still remember it. Well, more than that, but Mike, when we were on Bigo at one point, and you referred to me as they, and I was like, none of these hoes on here has paid attention. I changed up all my phone numbers, but you saw it, and I was like, you know, it didn't have to be a moment, we didn't have to discuss it, but I felt like, okay, let's just like take the mask off, we can roll now. So, and that's all I have to add.
Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else?
Okay, what was the question again?
So it's on your screen. What is, since so much of what we find pleasurable is shaped by culture, in what ways can we counter stigmas against queer and trans bodies, bodies of color, differently able bodies? Okay, so I'll throw one out because I know it's coming. Like for example, the type of porn. I mean, obviously we have, you know, different fantasies, and we have, you know, different sorts of things that we like, but porn is not reality, right? And so when you're desensitized to, you know, pornography, you're expecting people to look a certain way. You know, you're expecting like people to have this certain type of body, or maybe even you're expecting sex to be a certain type of way, you know what I mean, or to look a certain way because you've been conditioned this way, you know, through pornography. And so, and what I would suggest is trying to find more or pornography that is not so based on like a power dynamic, or not based on, you know, a certain look, you know what I mean, like not having these you know, super fit guys or incredibly well-toned women who are just not, you know, that's just not reality. Like not everybody looks like that, you know. And so that's what I'm talking about, stuff like that. Just watching realistic porn, you know what I mean, like amateur stuff, or you know, stuff that is yeah, not, you get what I'm saying.
Okay, got you. Well, I would definitely say just try to walk into a lot of stuff nowadays just with an open mind. Like I feel like it's the same way, like, you know, just how we look at people we want to get into relationships with. Like, you know, we put all these standards that they have to have, all these different things that they have to have, and so I don't know. Sometimes you just gotta just let your hair down, just let people be people, and shoot, you'd be surprised.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I mean the way you combat any stigma is you know, pushing in people's face, is visibility. I think we're doing good. I mean, of course we always can do better, but it's nice to see like uh things being pushed, right? We're able to see ourselves represented in the media. I'm super proud of Lil Nas X. Like he's always like pushing the envelope, and he's making sure that like, yeah, I'm here to stay. Like I'm gay, and y'all ain't getting rid of me. And moreover, like, so there's representation, but there's also like in the documentary one about that I watched, like how you were talking about pornography, how it shapes our perspective of sex and how we experience it. And so it comes from a patriarchal type of perspective, man has power. And so like there are ways people are combating that, and they're having like female directors, and they're like, and so females like they see it in a different perspective, and it's more of the storytelling and all these other nuances. It's not just like the bang bang or whatever, the hot chick. It's the whole story. It's other things that are involved, and so it's so how do we counter those stigma? It's get people involved in writing, good porn or whatever's good porn to you, but there are women writing porn and being more visible, and just like there's also a porn star, I forgot what is his name, but he's like a porn star, but he's like he works with like obese guys, right? Like that's his thing. It's like he just like he's a fit guy, and but one thing he I don't know if it's a kink or not, but he's still like representing like big bodies and like so it's just like it's representation, like people like what they like.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
Yeah.
I think I know who you're talking about.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Who?
That light skinned boy with the big booty.
Yeah.
Because I got him on Instagram.
Yeah,
Hold on.
I've seen it before.
We all got him on Instagram.
Everybody know about this boy.
We all got him
Hold
on Instagram.
on. Hold on. I'm about to find it.
Give me 1 second. We know.
I'm finna find it. Because I didn't say plenty of pictures.
Y'all talking about the secret? He got a little mask on and stop halfway, like right now.
Nah, he light skinned. He got glasses.
It's a tribe of them.
No.
Hold on. Where this man? Where's Judas King?
That's
That's
it.
him. Yeah.
That's it.
I don't know Judas.
Ooh, Jesus.
Judas, I know about it.
My bad. I gotta get off my. See, y'all see what I spend a lot of my time doing.
It's on the phone.
Apparently, you do it on the phone too.
Oh, that's a shame. I knew that.
Right. I would say, I think for me, it's just understanding that one, we don't all exist in like this bubble. I think two, you don't have to, everybody's yum. You don't have to yuck somebody else's yum. You get what I'm saying? So, and a lot of times we tend to yuck people's yum because like we've never really experienced it. You know what I mean? We're just told that we're not supposed to like that. So we walk around with these opinions that, oh, I can't like that thing. But if you've never engaged in it, if you've never done it, then you don't know whether or not you fucking like it. You get what I'm saying? Like, I always hear men sit back and say like, oh, I could never sit back and be gay. And it's like, but like you don't do gay shit. So how do you fucking know that you can't be unless you've actually done it? You get what I'm saying? And if you don't have any interest in doing that, then don't fucking do it. That solves 99% of the fucking problem that you think that you have with the shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so like, and then just like opening yourself up to like other things, you know what I mean? Even if it's just the experience of like watching it, you know what I mean? Like I've watched short people porn, I have watched trans porn, I have watched, porn where they have like shitted and pissed on one another, you know what I'm saying? Some of that, I'm like, that shit seems like really fucking extreme. But like watching people's faces, you know what I mean? Watching their body reaction, the moans that are elicited, the look of joy and pleasure on their face when they're doing these things. I'm like, they have to be getting something out of that, you know what I mean? And that may not ever really be my thing, you know what I mean? There were things that I thought that I would never ever sit back and try, but because someone talked about it or like I seen it, and you know what I mean? And I watched the joy and the pleasure that these people were experiencing, like when I tried the thing, I was like, oh shit, now I fucking get why. You know what I'm saying? Some people are really into this thing. And then there were other things that I've done where I'm like, yeah, I never have to do that again. But I don't know like if it was because I did it with the wrong person or whatever. But I can honestly say I can at least speak from an experience. Like if I don't like something, like I know why I don't like it. It's because I have done the thing and I'm like, that's not my fucking thing. So I don't ever have to try that again. You know what I mean? I may have had to try it a few times to be able to say that I don't like it. But I think, you know, like just being able to interrogate like your own self about why do you have like these stigmas? Where are they coming from? Are they your own actual stigmas, or are these the things that like society has like placed upon you? And you know, but that takes a certain level of awareness, and you wanting to do like that kind of interpersonal work. Um, and until you do it, then you know, then you just won't. And you'll just walk around with like all of these ideas that other people have handed you, and you really have none of your own to like really push back against.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you. Yeah, there was something that you just said that reminded me, that made me think. I think probably the first thing on this list should be awareness. You know, awareness that you have a stigma. You know, awareness that, because you know, a lot of times we don't even know that um, that these things are naturally ingrained in us. You know, so just being aware is probably the first step towards, you know, countering those sorts of stigmas, and you know, being aware and then being an advocate as well. Anybody else before we move on? No. No. Alrighty. So, like I said, watching and promoting responsible, racially diverse, queer positive, fat positive, trans positive porn. Allowing yourself honesty around your fantasies without shame. So, for example, if you are a person, now this is a huge thing in the Black community where they love like the, you know, being dominated by white men. It is a thing. There are a lot of Black boys or Black guys who, you know, really enjoy that whole, you know,
Race
like
play.
Power dynamic.
yeah, they like that power dynamic, but it's like they, you know, how the white guys will say, "Oh, BBC," right? And there are Black guys who love being the BBC, you know, and so, and if that's your thing, if you love, you know, having that sort of power or that sort of thing over somebody, just allow yourself the honesty about that, and don't try to pass it, you know. Anyways, we could go. This could be a whole thing by itself. Okay.
Cause baby, race playing, baby. So do
Yeah,
your
it's
thing.
a whole
But don't.
thing.
I don't want to do your thing. But I'm not
So,
coming.
fall in
I'm a,
love with your body the way that it is, and that's you know, you know, it's personal. Um, a lot of this
Little
is
booties matter.
okay. So, what kinds of pleasure do you seek? How do you know when you've had enough pleasure, and what happens when you have too much?
Sleep,
who exhausted. Yes.
sleep. I'm sleeping. Like you done did entirely way too fucking much. Take your ass to bed and try again tomorrow. You know what I mean? Um, I think what the type of pleasure that I seek, like I really love like just sensual. I like the sensuality of like sex. You know what I mean? So I love touching, you know, rubbing on people's bodies and like really watching their responses. Um, I didn't know that I was a foot person until, you know, like recently. Um, I like playing with feet. I like using my feet to do things. And those are stigmas that I was like, oh, that shit is so fucking nasty. But like I've met men who were like, hey, you want to try this thing? And I'm like, you know what? You've made me feel comfortable enough to experience it. Why not? And really have gotten off like just watching them experience like the thing. And so I think it's always for me, it's just like watching the other person like really get off, you know what I mean? And like, and when you're taking your time to like get to the destination, or maybe not even really arriving there at all. I've had plenty of experiences where there hasn't been any penetration. There may not have been like any cum, but like I still felt like we had like this really great experience. You know what I mean? Like that it's an experience that I want to remember. And like when I engage with partners now, it's like I want you to fucking remember me. If I am the notch on your belt, like for that one night, I want you to look at that notch. I want your dick to get hard every time you rub that notch and be like, yeah, that motherfucker turned me out. You know what I'm saying? I want you to look at your partner and be like, yeah, you good, but you ain't him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the type of experience that I'm trying to give you when I am giving you pleasure. And I am hoping that when we get together, that is what you want to give me. It's like an experience to remember. You know what I mean? Like, if I smell like your cologne, I hear a particular song that may have been playing during the session, or I see someone that like looks like you, I'm like, damn, what the fuck is he up to? You know what I'm saying? Is he giving it as good to someone else as he gave it to me that? You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely that, you know, and I figure if I'm going to hell for all the homosexual shit that I did, then I want to have a fucking blast when I'm goddamn doing this. And when God is looking at me, he's like, what you got to say about all this shit? And I'm like, honey, they were your children made in your image. You put them down here. You knew that we were going to fucking meet. I mean, what? What are we doing? You let me in or not? What's happening here? So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gary.
Wait, could you repeat the question one more? Like, just so.
They're on your screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please.
Read, bitch, read.
I swiped over, so when I'm looking at the screen, I'm looking at all of us because I be wanting to see you guys' face. Okay, God.
I'm just saying.
Yes,
Swipe left or swipe right. Tinder. Don't get it together.
Oh, I don't need her.
Yes,
I don't need her.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I'll just say.
Smooches, darling.
Yeah, you know, don't be kissing in my direction. That's dangerous for folks. But yeah. But I think no, we do need to talk about it being tiresome. You ever, because even by yourself or with another person, you ever just had that moment where you're in your corner, your quadrant of the bed, and you laying there stiff like a plank, left arm to the side, right arm to the side, and I can't come anymore. This is over. I need to find a new hobby, or it's time to like, it's been moments, and not even just with orgasm, but just where you've done so much pleasure, you like, okay, it's time to work. Like, I I feel like I've been here too long, and I need to feel other sensations again. Because you got to think, like, without pain, pleasure means nothing. Without any other sensation other than pleasure, pleasure means nothing. They all rely on each other, and so that's how we feel the change. So, because for example, like, in my last relationship when we first like got together, I was over there for like 4 days straight, and we just going crazy. And on that fourth day, we only touched each other like once, and then it was just okay. So where are you from? Like, let's do the other. Like, let's do these parts. Let's talk about our financial plan if we're going to work on things together. Let's iron out the work side to this relationship thing. We did the pleasure. All right, I need a break. So.
I totally resonate with that. Anybody else?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I'm much of the same. As Brent, what kind of pleasures do you seek? How often do you know? I didn't know you had enough pleasure. So I think for me, I think I seek the pleasures that kind of bring the height of pleasure. So like, I'm always gonna go to my favorite artists. They're gonna give me the height of like that audio pleasure that I get. And then my favorite foods, you know, whether it's a lemon pie, a lemon cookie, or a slice of pizza, like that's pleasure, the height of pleasure, like, you know, that I can attain. If it's sexual, you know, I know how to, you know, do that too. I feel like Brent, when you were saying how like, man, I've been in this space for too long. This, like, when pleasure no longer is pleasurable, that's when you know you had enough. Like, when I've been in euphoria all this long, it's time to come down. Like, time to come back to reality, feel something else, get out of this space, and because it's like too much of a good thing is a bad thing. You don't want to be in this this space where it's always pleasure, because it doesn't hold weight. It doesn't mean anything as much as if you're always feeling it. So yeah, like if I do it, say if it's just a sexual thing, if it's masturbation or sex, if it's too much, then it's just like it's not that enjoyable. Like you gotta either, and from my experience, is like either stretch it out or really like make it spontaneous. Yeah, well, I'm done.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Anybody else?
Let me see. What kind of pleasures do I seek? Let's see. Honestly, whatever is gonna sit over there and have me with a peace of mind. Shoot. I feel like as long as I'm sitting over there and I'm cool. Hey, what the hell? How do you know when you've had enough pleasure? Shit, a bitch is happy. That's how I know I had enough. Shoot, I'm Gucci. Let me see. How do you have too much? I'm agree with y'all. I say like after a minute, it starts to get like real boring, and like you kind of get out that euphoria moment. Like I'm gonna use Sims as another example. Like when you start to use them damn cheats or whatever, and you get all the damn money and shit, and then you can buy all the stuff for your house. You be like, okay, I can move anywhere I want to. I can do all this. Like, but when I usually start off the game, I try to make sure every sim have a job, so everything kind of goes into like a line. Like, okay, you finna go to work at 3 and then you get off at 9. So that way somebody here with the kids or whatever. Just basically like just working into it. Like, I don't know, kind of like going into like a pattern. So that way, like it always stays fresh. It always just keeps going, just like, a whole little circle effect. The circle of life. The circle of pleasure. Bam.
I love it. I love it. Anybody
I like
else?
that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, circle of pleasure.
See, look at that. We
and don't yuck my yum.
Circle
And don't yuck my yum.
The new shirt.
Yeah.
I like circle of pleasure and don't yuck my yum.
I still got to come up with this damn $96 for this damn Axe Mary jacket.
I
gotta talk to you about this discount.
So we might talk. We'll
talk.
We'll talk.
But
yeah.
So, were you going, Brent?
No, I was just gonna say, go ahead.
For me, I think the type of pleasure that I like as I've gotten older, I noticed how the things that when I was younger, the things that I would look for, even throughout the day, like when I was younger, when I was in my 20s, like what I would do during the day would just be to have fun for the moment. Like I would be looking for things or trying to do things just in that moment to have pleasure just in that moment, right? Whether that be smoking, whether that be masturbating, and I was just sort of like living life, like just going from one thing to the next, whatever pleasurable thing to the next pleasurable thing. And if something wasn't pleasurable, then it was out of there. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, exercising or, doing the things that weren't, pleasurable. I wasn't going to do them. And so as time progressed, as I got older, I started realizing the pleasure in the things that take time, the things that like seeing it, like I guess when you're young, you don't understand time correctly. Like you think of time as this thing that just happens, but when you get older, you see how like it progressed, right? So you've seen like changes and you've noticed like the patterns and you've noticed like these cycles. And so as you get older, you start like, oh wait, I've seen this. I don't want to make that happen again. So now let me change some shit. You know what I mean? And so as you get older, you're changing those things. And so getting back to the question, the pleasures that I seek now are more for the future. These are things that like I know like I'm putting these things in place that, and I'm trying to allow them to give me pleasure, even though, it might not be the pinnacle of what I think it could be. It's just for right now that this is what it is, and I know that it's something that's building. And I know that it's bringing pleasure in that, in just the act of practice, or the act of, does that make sense? So yeah, and then how do we know when I've had enough? I think just like everybody else, I feel the same way. Like if I've been stuck in like a thing for too long, for example, like I went traveling through Europe for 4 years, went backpacking, like was living my best life, and then there was something that was like, you need to go home. There was like, you need to go. There's like, you're not doing anything here. Like you're just, living, and you're having a great life and you're doing the things, but you're not actually doing anything. You know what I mean? You're not like working towards anything. You're not, and so it was like something that made me say like, wait, I have to find some pain, right? Because that's the only way we can sort of like really grow, right? Is through the uncomfortable pain. Um, and so I put myself to work, and even though Black and Gay has been very frustrating at times and very, sometimes I want to throw in the towel, it's still like, putting in that grind, you know what I mean? Every day, every day, every day. And knowing that, at the end of all of this, like, if nothing else, I'll be able to say, like, we did this, like we'll all be able to say, we were here, you know, and that means more to me than being able to smoke a joint right now and not do anything. So thank y'all for listening to my TED Talk.
Thank you for sure.
Yeah, that made me think of
You muted.
Can't hear you.
Okay, I'm back. But you hit you hit a point that really resonated with me. It's kind of like you touched on pleasure with a purpose. Purposeless pleasure is like running on fumes. It's like running on fumes because it's like whether it's masturbation, it comes to a point where at this point I'm attacking myself and we need to stop. And then whether in like smoking, at this point, like I don't know what day it is anymore. I no longer have concerns, and that's concerning. And so, but it's like if you have a purpose to your pleasure, it makes it all worthwhile. And so that's why intentional masturbation is so much more better than when you just mindlessly do it instead of being actively present in your body. And that's why we hate sex with people who don't pay attention to us, you know? So like I think intention, purpose, and pleasure goes hand in hand. When you add purpose to your pleasure, you will always thrive. And yeah, that's all I get.
That's a word right there. That's a word right there.
Let me give you my $1.
Anybody else on this before we move on?
You know what I'm saying?
All right.
You know, I was the gross sister look first.
The gross sister, yeah.
So, balancing your pleasure. Too much pleasure can cause pain, like we know. Be it sugar, social media, or sex, the response in our brain is the same. It produces those feel-good neurochemicals called dopamine, which brings on the feelings of pleasure and motivation. When we're repeatedly exposed to our pleasure-producing stimuli, our brains adjust, and eventually we need more and more just to feel normal or not in pain. That's called a dopamine deficit state. And the cycle that leads us there can actually lead us to depression, anxiety, irritability, and insomnia. So a couple tips: take a break if you need. Take a break from whatever it is that you rely on for pleasure, whether that be social media, sugar, video games, sex, pot, booze, anything really. It doesn't mean going cold turkey forever, but taking at least taking a 30-day break, or even just a couple hours. It's a good way of getting this sort of pain pleasure balance in your brain. To maintain that balance, you have to strike this what they call a pleasure pain balance, which means intentionally avoiding pleasure and seeking the kind of purpose pain, which is, like Brent said, purposeful pleasure, that keeps us healthy, such as exercise or resisting certain temptations. Like we all know, exercise for some of us it's not pleasurable. It's not something that, moving your body, like, especially, after the pandemic, like, I already know, like me, I have not wanted to exercise or move my body whatsoever. But it's something that your body actually needs. And when you get older, you're gonna realize, like, I need to be moving my body every day. You have to. You have to. Even if it's just stretching, even if it's just taking a walk, whatever it is, you have to. And so that, understanding like that pain, like, okay, this might be painful, or this might feel like, oh, I don't really want to do that. I don't want to go take a walk, or I don't want to, stretch right now, or I don't want to get out of bed and do this thing. Like, that pain is actually helping you because you're pushing yourself. And then that pain actually causes a new type of pleasure, because now you're proud of yourself for pushing yourself through what you wouldn't have done before. And so you're trying to always keep yourself, I guess, in balance, right, of giving yourself pleasure and giving yourself the things that you want, but also knowing, like, this is something that I need to do whether or not it feels good. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
All right. Another thing is helpful is reaching out to friends. For long-term change, radical honesty and community are key. Even though we're often terrified of being radically honest with others because we think they'll go running, the opposite actually happens. Radical honesty promotes intimacy. I think we've all seen that from right now. Um, all of us have been completely honest and talking about sex and talking about masturbation. We've all gotten to know each other a little bit more. We've all gotten a little bit closer, and that's pleasurable. That feeling of being closer to people, having people know you a little bit, and that is also as a source of dopamine. Maybe that's why every time we come here, we come to these spaces, we feel good, because we put all this love and this energy and this dopamine into this space, and this is why we keep coming back. And so, like it says, we know that when we make intimate human connections, oxytocin binds with dopamine, releasing neurons in the reward system, and dopamine is released, and it feels really good, period. So thank y'all so much. That is the end of the workshop for today. It went on a bit long, but I really appreciate y'all
I
so
like that.
much. If y'all have any ideas for workshops that you want to do, or things that you want to, if you just want to do like a Kiki room where we just hang out and talk about it, please let us know. Tell us what days you're available, what times you're available. We'll make it an event. We'll get people to come. We'll hang out with you, whatever it is. Even if you just want to hang out on the Discord server, chat throughout the day, if you're not doing anything, let us know. Like, me and Adrian are always hanging around. And so, yeah, anybody have any announcements or anything they want to wrap up before we do positive affirmations? They can close out.
All right, I had to tell you guys, I finally checked out the Love Corner, right? Because Quincy has been telling me to, get your eyes poked out. Go check it out, and maybe you learn something. And it popped up, and I was like, okay, let me finally check this out.
Something.
And I was like, this is not it. Like, for me, because it's different, because we're talking about porn and stuff like that. It's different to see like two people like having sex and using my imagination to imagine it's me and my man instead of just a naked body, and then I have no imagination of that's my man. And I was like, I'm learning about myself, and now I know what you guys look like naked, and I was like, this I don't think this is it. It's like, it's different, like with my best friends, it's like they're women. It's like, oh yeah, we have the same bodies, it's cool, but I don't see them online. And I was like, this is interesting. Like, I don't think I'm gonna go in there again. but it's a cool space for body positivity. I support y'all.
I'm glad we fucked your head up. Period.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I'm gonna leave it alone.
No, go
ahead. As far as the corner goes, I think like that's a beautiful space to like you said, to see what your perception is, pleasure, and all that fun stuff, and how it works for you. I think that's interesting that the news do nothing for you. At least for me, a photo is worth a trillion words. I like it better than the video sometimes because you done ruined it. Why did you say that? Why did you move like that? It'd be the slightest thing, and I'm like, back to the search because I can't do this. But an image, I can build shit that I can't even see in your room that's happening. And I don't know. That's just how my mind works. That's all I
ahead. That's interesting. Yeah, I can see that because with the picture, you can sort of look at the picture and just like imagine anything, create any sort of image. But if it's a video, you're like watching them in real time, and it's kind of like the fantasy is not connecting. That makes sense. That makes sense. Anybody else?
We love the love corner.
Period.
We love the love corner. I think y'all are beautiful. All of you have wonderful, beautiful bodies. I just love the fact that it exists. Sex is very much a part of our culture. You know what I mean? So I think I love the fact that we have a space that exists for us to show the sexual side of ourselves. That is like reclaiming our time in a particular kind of way. And just the different representations of like body, you know what I mean? So all of us are not running around with 10-inch dicks. Some of us are, you know what I mean? But the fact that we feel comfortable enough to share that part of ourselves and, just represent and, and just be, I think that's really beautiful. And, we're encountering our own stigmas within ourselves. I think sometimes when we see these images, we see these videos and, like really working through like our own shit behind it. And that's really great.
That part. Yes. Yes. Thank you for saying that, Game. So, if that's it for everybody, one announcement for Adrian.
Yeah, Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Western, Eastern, no, Pacific Standard Time. Damn.
What time zone?
I'm gonna get it at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time, so it's gonna be like 7:30 on for you guys, 6 whatever. Art workshop, we're gonna be touching on some really good stuff, songwriting, music production, digital illustration. So if you're interested in any of that stuff, just come by and hang out with us.
Anything else? I think that is it. Yeah, that's it, y'all. Positive affirmations.
I feel like you should start them this time, Mike.
Okay. My positive affirmation for this week is I am sexy. I am fierce. I am brave. I'm strong, and I'm proud of myself.
I say. Mine would be I'm pleasuring myself for myself and with myself to become more of myself. I say.
Well, here is mine because I seen this the other day. It popped up on my thing and it resonated with me. It says, I am allowing myself to be present, releasing the tension of yesterday.
Yes.
But hold on, I'm going to fix that. Hold on 1 second, real quick. Let me fix that real fast. I am allowing myself to be present. It didn't say this, but I am allowing myself to be present in the present and releasing the tension of yesterday. Bam. Okay, my bad.
Period.
Come on now. In the wonderful words of cousin Duran Bernard, I'm a bad bitch, yeah, because I'm that nigga. Period.
Period. Period.
My affirmation is I have and I shall use it.
You have a what?
I have a voice and I shall use it.
Use it.
Period.
Period.
Remember, everybody, today's homework.
Her.
Masturbate.
With a mirror. With a mirror.
With a mirror. Full length.
But
With a mirror. With a mirror.
I got
Full
a
length.
little small circle one down like the whole, you know.
A little compact.
Put it on. Yeah, I put it on a pillow. We look at each other.
Well, you know, however you got to do it. Stand up.
So imagine putting that big ass.
Lay down. Tuck them legs back.
Okay, I'm gonna take some pictures.
So I would say,
Oh my bad.
and yes, that is me turning heads and dropping jaws.
Yeah.
And yes, that is.
Uh-huh.
And yes, it
I know
is.
that's right.
Turning heads, dropping jaws, and dropping
He didn't
draws.
say draws. Oh,
I didn't say draws. I said jaws.
Yeah,
It is
dropping.
jaws.
Look, if I
My
drop
turn,
some
draw.
draws, somebody gonna be dropping
Not
some draws.
jaws. Not draws.
That's it. Drop
I
them
don't do no rent
draws.
my rent money
Drop them
today.
draws.
Somebody getting a salad. Nice. All right. I love y'all.
I love y'all so
We
much.
love you.
Bye.
Good night.
Look,
I pray y'all have beautiful nights of rest and we saw abundance of it. It's the season.
Masturbate in the mirror.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
in the
Take a
mirror.
nap
Masturbate
after.
at each other.
And say I
Yes,
love you.
do that.
Say I love you. And
I
say
love
it back.
Yes.
Say that.
Yes.